Before the video starts, I do want to quickly let you guys know that I do have a Discord server, so if any of you guys want to be a part of it, I'll have it linked in the description below. It's pretty active, so there's plenty of people to talk to. I also talk in it quite a bit myself, so come on down. Anyway, on to the video. It's no surprise that there's been a lot of Raum talk lately. Players are excited about him and want to know how good he's going to end up being. A common opinion I've been seeing go around is that he's going to be OP. This opinion is understandable because at first glance, this character has a hell of a lot going for him. Now I'll admit, this character is very OP against people who don't know how to counter him. To them, he feels like an unkillable raid boss, an unbreakable wall that can't be torn down. But thanks to the PTS, I've been playing a good amount of Raum, and I've had a good amount of games against him as well. So I've been able to test out ways to counter him, and let me tell you, there are plenty. I don't want you guys to feel like Raum is oppressive when he hits live servers in November, so I do want to equip you with the tools needed to take him on so you guys can be ready. So let's get started. Here's how you counter Raum, Rage of the Abyss. So Raum can have a lot of health. This is what allows him to tank enemy fire since he doesn't have a barrier. You may not be able to reduce his tankiness with Wrecker like most tanks, but there are plenty of defensive options that allow you to burn through all that health. Percent damage counters him pretty hard. Hit him with that and he won't feel like a tank at all. Skye has Debilitate. This one is the easiest of the bunch to use. Raum is a big guy, he's hard to miss, and with Skye you only have to hit him once to take about 4,000 health off of him when he has his soul armor. There's also Big Game Cassie. You do have to land consecutive arrows, so he does have a small time window to get behind cover or run away. But if you're able to get him out in the open and hit him with those consecutive arrows, he'll fall pretty quickly. Burn Monster is also really rough on him. Since Raum has a very heavy self-slow while firing, he's delayed from exiting the fire. He has to realize he's on fire, and then stop attacking before he can effectively get out of it. By the time he's fully out, he would have lost most of his health, depending on how the fire spreads. Burn Monster also does of course cripple him, so if you see him winding up his juggernaut ability, throw fire at his feet and he won't be able to go anywhere. Also, if you see him running around with juggernaut, attempt to predict where he'll go and throw your fire in his path to stop him. Then there's Zin's Guillotine. Even at full soul armor, this will kill him. However, I do consider this a lesser counter, because it is an ultimate and Raum does have his ult up very often. So when he sees you're about to ult him, he can activate his ult, so you slide right off due to the CC immunity. Now keep in mind it is possible for him to live it even if it hits him. Most of the tanks die in 4 swings from the ult, since 4 makes 100%, but Raum takes all 5, so if you get a bit of healing while being attacked, you can live his ultimate. Another lesser counter is Maeve's Street Justice. Now I do call this a lesser counter, because you still have to deal an absolute ton of damage to him before you can do this. You need to cut off like 6,000 health before you can execute him when he has his full soul armor. Then there's Alex's ult, another lesser counter simply because it's an ultimate. But you can execute him at around 4,000 health, and unlike the other tanks, he has no way to block it. It's also harder for him to get around a wall if you activate it while he's firing, since he is of course very slow. Now outside of percent damage, there are other counters. He may have a lot of health, but if he's caught out in the open, he can be bursted and there is a ton of burst in the game. BK's Chain Reaction talent. I slaughtered that talent name, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's really good against him. Again, he's big and slow, so it's super easy to stick him multiple times and hit him hard. Drogoz is a solid counter. Of course, his ultimate one-hits Raum regardless of soul armor, but he can also fly to keep out of Raum's effective range. Raum's weapon has a big spread, so he's gonna miss most of his bullets if he attacks Drogoz. I also want to point out that Fusillade direct hits are super easy to hit on him. Also, he's super weak to CC, so Combustible knocking him around is going to be pretty effective. We'll talk about CC more in a bit. But first, let's talk about Willow because Willow is another great counter. Willow's Blast Flower allows her to hit Raum for a ton of 800s due to his big health pool, so you're going to be doing great DPS to him with that. Also, he is very reliant on his self-sustain, and Dead Zone doesn't really let self-sustain exist. You cut off most of his healing. He can heal a bit inside Dead Zone with his soul armor, but not a whole lot. And again, to get out of the dead zone quickly, he does have to of course stop firing. Now let's talk about his other big weaknesses. Crowd control effects. CC bullies him. He has no instant movement to avoid it and no barrier to block it. On top of that, his big size and so-slow make it difficult for him to avoid it. Now he can use the CC immunity from his ult to block other CC, but he's mainly going to use that to counter other CC ultimates, not regular CC. You don't want to use your ult to block a Damba stun. His only real defense for it is buying resilience, and you can often buy resilience first because you need to buy Cauterize first, or in some cases Wrecker. I'm not going to name every instance of CC in the game, but I am going to go over a few things. You can CC him out of his juggernaut. The easiest way to CC him out of it is with Genos' Void Grip, since it is of course auto-aim. If he's running right at you, any CC is easy to land on him. But if he's running to the side, most CCs take a bit more work to land. Not a whole lot though, because he is a big guy. Using a knockback on him to get him off the map is pretty rough for him, since he can't really get back on the map. His movement ability does have a wind-up, so unless you're already in that wind-up as you get knocked off, you're not getting back on. CC immune ultimates are also good for countering his ultimate. They keep you from getting stunned. Now unless you're IO, you're still going to take the 999 damage, but it's often still way better than getting stunned. Now this is important. In CC Ultimate Wars, whoever ults first, loses. For example, if you attempt to Inara ult Raum first, he'll activate his ult and counter yours. If he ults first, you can counter his. Remember, always ult second, unless you're positive that he doesn't have his ult. He does get it super fast, so I don't recommend guessing unless you just saw him use it. The only exceptions to this would be Moji and Pepper ults. What? Okay, fine, Pip ult, happy. Basically, these ults go off too fast for most players to react to unless they predict that you're about to ult them, so most of the time it's safe to use it on Raum whenever. Now of course, these ults are great counters to him since they don't care about his soul armor at all. And that's it, that's how you counter Raum. There is a lot of stuff to counter him with, guys. He's good, but with this much counterplay, I definitely can't call him OP. He'll feel OP to players at first, but once they get used to fighting him and utilizing his counterplay, he's gonna balance out. Anyway, I hope you guys found that helpful. If you have any other tips for dealing with Raum, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys laters. Bye. Hey guys, before I end the video, I did want to give a special shout out to two artists who made some art of my new favorite Paladins character, Raum, and my mascot, Ember, together. First one is by Goatink, and the second one is by Yord. These are super cute, and I had to give them a little bit of a spotlight in one of my videos. If you want to see more from these artists, I'll have their Twitters linked down below. Okay, bye again.